This is a short one like me. Dudes with Brews on the Porch presents Michael Brews.
Dude. Craft Brews and Casual Conversations. Joined with me, very special guest, Cameron from the podcast Florida Men on Florida Man. So, Cameron, are you
right?
Before we get into the beer stuff and the Florida stuff, well, I guess we're gonna get into Florida stuff right away. But is it cold down there? What's going on?
It's not cold. No, so I'm in Central Florida.
Okay.
And let's see, it was like 70 today. I think it's supposed to be 86 tomorrow.
Oh, that's pretty good then.
Yeah.
I've just heard of all these weird things going on in like Texas, and then I thought I had heard places in Florida were getting impacted by this weather stuff too.
Yeah, Texas is kind of crazy right now, but I think that like northern Florida, like the Panhandle, kind of closer towards west, going that way towards Texas, is like in the 20s or something. But
okay,
yeah, it was like a 50-degree difference in Florida yesterday.
Yeah, and I'm here to say that's these storms are a typical Tuesday here in good old Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But I do feel for the people in Texas because it does suck. Some people have been without power for multiple days, and it's super cold, and that really does suck. So hopefully Texas can get their shit together and generate some power to these people soon.
Yeah, they just don't seem like they're used. I mean, obviously they're not used to it, and so they're not necessarily prepared, I guess, as you guys are.
I'm not used to it. I've lived here my whole life, but I don't like it. It's not enjoyable. And, cold is cold. It doesn't matter what state you're in. If it's 7 degrees outside and you have no heat on the inside, you're fucked.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. But all right. So you got a beer with you. If you want to talk about it a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, it's called Upriver.
Upriver.
It's by Central 28 Beer Company, which is here in Florida.
Nice.
DeBerry, Florida. So I'm not exactly sure where that is though. But it's an American Pale Ale.
Nice. Yeah, and I'm drinking something locally as well from Good City Brewing, which is from Milwaukee. It's a lager. It's called Home. It's just your crisp, refreshing lager. That's what I got. So I have a beer full of fridge, and this is the one I grabbed.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think I've actually seen that before.
Really?
But I've had it.
From Good City Brewing? Maybe you should, check it out.
The can just looks super familiar.
I mean, it's kind of like a generic can. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how far Good City gets, but that'd be sweet. I mean, I think we get some Florida stuff. I'd have to look, though, specifically for it.
Yeah.
But, so you're kind of the, when we were setting this up, I was told you're the beer and whiskey guy.
I mean, yeah, I do I like drinking bourbon.
Okay.
And, drinking some beers. So yeah, I guess I could, out of the three of us, or I guess I would be that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well,
expert.
What's that?
I'm expert. I said I'm no expert.
Neither am I.
Pretty good at drinking them, but I don't know if I'm an expert on any of them.
People talk about like, oh, I can really taste this type of hops in this. I'm like, bro, I can't. I couldn't tell you what any of this is. It tastes good though, as long as it's delicious. That's all that matters. But all right, let's talk a little bit, man. You got this podcast that I was introduced to not that long ago, and I love the concept because everybody knows about the Florida Man news stories. Or Florida, the weird things happen in Florida for whatever reason. It's like part of the Bermuda Triangle of unusual news stories, weddings, and they're always entertaining. I used to be in radio full time, and we even had a segment on Florida men, like Florida man does this, and now you have this podcast on it. Give us a history a little bit about it, and like why did you decide to go with this format? Because you guys add a personal touch to it, which I really like. But you got a good thing going.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. So, the Florida Man thing is just like, I feel like it's kind of known nationally now. Like we're kind of famous. Florida is famous for our Florida Man, which could be like anybody, right? Like anybody could be a Florida man. Mm-hmm. And what's kind of funny is we realized once we started this that we have so many stories coming out of Florida, not only just because, we're crazy down here. I mean, the heat is probably getting to us. There's so many people in like these dense areas and things like that. But we have something called the Sunshine State Law.
Okay.
Which basically,
the sunshine. Hold on.
Is record. Get so much news because it's public record. I mean, anybody can look at this and see any kind of arrest statements. Okay. So we have a ton of it coming out because of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you were breaking up a little bit, but from what I got, it's all public record.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And so our arrest, like the arrest records themselves, we just have so many of them coming out on the daily basis. Mm-hmm. And so we get a lot of just crazy stories and crazy headlines and stuff coming out because of that.
What's you are a part of this group, the podcast. You have 3 hosts, correct?
Yeah. Right.
First of all, how do you balance that? And how do you, because sometimes it's even hard enough to do it between, a couple people, just me and Rob. Sometimes it's hard to format that. What's your guys' process, and how do you pick the news stories to talk about? Is it just recent stuff that you happen to see?
So that was actually when we first started it. It is kind of difficult doing 3 people, like you said. And when we kind of did the first one, we kind of demoed podcast at the first one because we weren't sure what we were going to do yet. Like, this was all brand new to us. We kind of talked over each other. We weren't sure what we were who was carrying the conversation at first. Right. So we ended up doing 3 distinct segments, and each of us carry a segment. So for instance, I carry this segment about the Florida Man headline specifically. Josh will carry a segment that's all about like I feel like he is like a legit Florida man. Like, he always has crazy stories happening to him. And so kind of talking about, he kind of leads us through, like some of our childhood experiences growing up in Florida and things that are happening now and just kind of personal experiences. And then Wayne has a segment that's like Florida history and lore and legends and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like that works out because we each have our own thing. I'm finding Florida Man headlines every week. Wayne's looking up legends and history and that kind of stuff.
That's pretty sweet. And I like the personal touch you guys add to the show. And, you were talking about, eating, 18 bananas or whatever, not that long ago. And, to get your, was it potassium? And then,
yeah, Josh was trying to figure out a way to not take vitamins, I think. And he's like, why should I take a vitamin? Like, his doctor's telling him why he should take vitamins. He's like, I mean, I could just eat that many bananas in a day. So
to me, that's a Florida man mentality, and I like it. I think it's a good one.
I think his thing was like, I could just put him in a milkshake and, that would be even more enjoyable. So
absolutely. In Wisconsin, it would just be, some redneck with like a bunch of beers looking for, they probably don't even know what potassium means. Unfortunately, we have a lot of weird people in Wisconsin as well. I feel like Wisconsin could have more like kind of like backwoods hillbilly man stories.
Right.
And, it's weird. I'm sure Florida has that too. I mean, from some of the stories I've seen, a drunken guy is like carrying around an alligator, doesn't know how he got it, but he's got it.
Yeah, we have that. The alligator thing is like, there's no end to alligator stories, it seems like. I mean, they're legitimately everywhere. I mean, like any kind of small pond, like retention ponds and things like that. There's gators everywhere. And so like the story, Wayne has a story of him growing up and at college. Like they grabbed a small gator from a pond at their college and took it into the dorm room shower and kept it there for like a week. And
Jeez.
It's like, I mean, I don't know that he would tell that story himself, but yeah, it's like one of those things where it's so widespread. I mean, they're everywhere. I mean, we get gator stuff all the time. Like somebody throwing in an alligator through like a Wendy's drive-through.
Jeez.
Like they drove through and threw a gator. I mean, which is just wild.
Yeah, and gators don't mess around. They'll eat you quick.
Right. Yeah, they're gonna go after something.
I'll be in Florida in April, more like closer to Fort Myers, and
Okay, yeah.
it's kind of Everglade area and everything like that. So I've been there before. I've toured the Everglades, and a guy one time just got off the airboat and is bumming around in these swamp waters. I'm like, dude, you're gonna die like right now in front of me, and I'm in 4th grade, not ready to watch somebody get killed. It's
Yeah, the Everglades are like they're legit scary. I mean,
yeah.
because people like just walk, like you're saying, just walk through there. There's alligators in there. We get so many stories now with the pythons, like the
Okay.
big boa constrictor pythons. Those stories are everywhere because they've basically they're invasive,
Mhm.
but they've taken over the Everglades, and like it's a huge deal down there in the Everglades with the pythons.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah, just add to it, right? I mean, you have like 18-foot snakes next to the alligators, just kind of chilling, waiting for you.
So what are some of your favorite stories that you've come across, and are there any local legends or local heroes that you have covered before?
Yeah. So early on, kind of talking about the Everglades, we followed this guy. His name was Dave, but he's a skunk ape expert, and so like our skunk ape is kind of similar to like a Sasquatch type thing, and kind of known to be in the Everglades and all this kind of stuff. Well, this guy was like an expert on the skunk ape. He was on like these Travel Channel shows and things like that. Well, we interviewed him like early on.
Nice.
And I mean, it was kind of like talking to like a local legend where we called him on a podcast. We just called his phone. We were recording and he's like, yeah, I'll do an interview with you. Just call me at this time. We called and he's immediately like, who is this? Yeah, I'm at an auction right now trying to buy a skunk ape, like 18-foot tall statue. And so we hear him bid. It was just like chaos. Like but it's just so real. I mean, that of course you're at an auction right now trying to buy a skunk ape statue. I mean, but he like runs this place in the Everglades where they'll do like tours. They have pythons and alligators and all this kind of stuff.
That's pretty crazy. We have there's like a little tavern, pub, or whatever you want to call it, maybe like 40 minutes away from where I'm at, in this small little rinky-dink town called Dundee, Wisconsin. And if you look it up, every year there's a bar called Benson's Anchor Inn, and it's all UFO themed. He has a jar with a kind of like an alien fetus in it, and he's got like he'll bust out binders of fucking UFO pictures, and like he's got like it's like redneck X-Files, and every year they do a thing called UFO Days where they just go and look for UFOs. And it's a big thing. And
we had a story recently that was kind of like similar to that. I mean, not UFOs, but it was a bar in North Florida. I think it was on the Alabama and Florida line, like in the Panhandle. Okay. And like there was a whole thing. They were fighting over custody over the state line, and like they had these fish fights where they throw mullet fish at each other, and then it became this thing where like this bar that sits right on the line would have like every year this annual like mullet toss. Jeez. And it's this giant, and there's like that now there's thousands and thousands of people that go to this event, and it just like so random. Like how does that even the stuff kind of come up? But it's like that local stuff where I feel like bars are like the best place for those kind of stories too.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you feel you mentioned kind of the Florida Alabama thing? There's that new I don't know how new it is, but I see commercials for it. The Flobama Shore, that MTV shit. Is that how accurate?
I've seen that.
No, it's like they had the Jersey Shore, but now it's like
right
on the Florida Alabama Shore, I guess. Flobama, is that a term that you use?
I mean, they might have. It's so funny because like I'm Central Florida. Florida is like so split into regions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it takes like 5 or 6 hours to get to where you're talking about from
Okay.
where I'm at. And so like that's like a whole different culture, but I believe it because that is like right there there's like swamps right there, there's beaches right there. I mean, you're like kind of on that line where I totally could see that happening up there.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard of that. Like that's actually super interesting.
Yeah, it's on MTV. I don't know how interested you are in really watching it. It's probably horrible.
Yeah, if it's anything like Jersey Shore, I mean, if I watched it, it would be for trying to get some stories for our show.
Yeah, you could get them. You could get them for sure. Just do a quick Google search and it'll pop up, I'm sure. So are you from Florida? Like born and raised in Florida, or?
Yeah. I'm from Lakeland, Florida. So I was born and raised here, and kind of been living here my whole life. I did move up to Tallahassee, Florida, our capital, and went to Florida State University up there.
Nice.
Came back to Central Florida. So we're like 25 minutes from Disney World where we're at right now.
Killer.
It's right next to Orlando. So
yeah, Disney World's pretty cool. I haven't been there in a while, but since 3rd grade. But I mean, one day I look forward to going back.
Yeah, it's still going right now too. I mean, that's like, you're so close to so many things like in Central Florida, especially like, I mean, a lot of it's touristy stuff in Orlando, but there's some cool places over there still. So
how often do you get like the Florida man does something weird at Disney World? How awesome! Like, do you see that often?
Yeah, we had one recently. Man, what did he do? I feel like we get less stories of like crazy stuff that happens in Disney World. Because they're known for like locking that down.
Right.
Really. I mean, it's like one of those things that, it doesn't get leaked very often, but there was one where this guy was kind of, I think it was a whole thing about masks, wearing masks. And this guy was like trying to, security was trying to take him out, and he was legit trying to get the whole crowd to like follow him out. It was quoting the Disney movie Bug's Life. And like basically like we're all ants and stuff. It was just like so bizarre. But I mean, nobody's gonna follow them. I mean, they're like, please leave. I mean, this is not anything that we're gonna follow you out on. So
yeah, and Disney World's not cheap. I mean, it's people paid money to go in there and just mask up and enjoy. It's a small world and all that stuff.
Yeah, we actually went during the COVID stuff, and it's so chill because they cap it at like 40% or something like that.
Okay.
So you're not dealing with long lines, you're not dealing with crazy people, and everybody's wearing their masks, and they have really figured it out, the Disney thing. It was actually more enjoyable than going before COVID stuff, honestly. Like it weirdly enough, but yeah, we also did a Walt Disney story recently. About him being frozen after his death. Like he wanted to be frozen and kind of, I don't know if he thought he was going to come back later on, but he basically, that was kind of the idea, was he wanted to be frozen in time and in this capsule and then come back and, that if he thought the technology would change where he could come back. But yeah, we did that story recently and that was pretty cool.
I know that was Larry King's thing too. He said he wanted to be cryogenically frozen when he died, and now he unfortunately did die. And I wonder what happened. I should look that up because
I don't know.
I mean, that
I don't know if he actually was.
He looks like I mean, if you watch his age progression, it looked like he was decaying for the last 40 years. So I mean, he made it quite a bit. But he is a legend. I do love Larry King, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
but,
he definitely is.
Yeah, it's the Florida stuff is crazy, and you were talking about the skunk ape. We have something in Wisconsin called the hodag, the Rylander hodag, and it's I really don't know too much about it, but it's just a weird wolf-like, maybe Sasquatch-esque type character. And I feel like every state has some weird thing, but we haven't done too much information on the skunk ape, and maybe I should look up that a little bit more.
Yeah, hodag. I had never even heard of that. That's a cooler name than skunk ape. I feel like the skunk ape, like one of the funny things that one of the things that I learned during that whole thing, talking to him, for some reason, like it was said that skunk ape like lima beans, and so people would try to bait them with lima beans, which is like the most random thing that you would ever think of to bait something. But I mean, people said that they were like, they look like giant monkey type things and all this kind of stuff.
So there's more than one? Maybe.
I've never seen one.
Yeah. Not yet. Maybe one day when you're in the Everglades.
I don't know. That's a good question. Like, is it, I think that people believe there's multiple. Like, I don't think it's just like one skunk ape that's, been around this whole time.
Interesting. Yeah. That's always the thing with like cryptids. There's always usually just one. But with skunk ape, there could be multiple skunk apes. I mean, I could drive down the street and probably find some interesting people that could be a skunk ape.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said you went to the Everglades. I mean, could you imagine there being some kind of cryptid within that whole Everglades system?
You can barely see through the water. I mean, like it's I was looking into touring the Everglades again when I'm back down there in April, and I mean, it is expensive, but then I like think about it and I'm like, you hear all these stories of this little kid getting swiped up by a gator, this person gets swiped up by a gator. I'm like, maybe it's just worth the YouTube video watching of it and not going through. I was in 5th grade when that happened, and they let me hold a baby alligator at the end, which was pretty cool. So I mean, I was pretty pumped, but you think about it, you're just like, we would have been really screwed if that driver had gotten eaten by a gator.
That's funny. I mean, was it like a group of kids or just like a family thing? Like,
it was.
Were you guys?
Yeah, I was with my family, but it was like a whole day excursion. Like we got in a van with a guy named I think his name was like Menard or some shit like that. He was just I don't know, some safari guy, and he was like driving us all over the place. He would pull over, we'd go check things out, and then eventually it led to this rickety looking dock with an airboat at the end of it. We hopped in that bad boy, and then he took us for a stroll. And then he's like, "Oh, you guys want pictures?" And that's when he got out to take our pictures. And he goes walking in the swamps, and I was like, and I'm pretty sure 40 feet away there was an alligator.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, dude, sure. Like you gotta, watch out. But yeah, we made it through, and then got to hold a baby alligator at the end, and got a picture with that. It was pretty fancy.
Man, I mean, that was when you were a child too, and that the adults were thinking, we paid money for this. Like, this is this like real world? Like, what happens if this guy like goes under all of a sudden? Like, I don't know if I can drive an airboat. Like,
yeah, I couldn't. I wouldn't even know how to get back to where we were. Like, it's like,
it's just wild out there. But
they used to sell. I don't know if they were crocodiles or alligators that they sold, but they sold baby, I'm just going to say alligators, at like local flea markets in Wisconsin. Like it wasn't unusual to leave a flea market with a baby fucking alligator. And then people like pop them in their bathtub or whatever. And then they don't stop growing. And they're like, what do we do with this alligator?
Okay. So I am well aware of alligators at flea markets.
Yeah.
There's a flea market 10 minutes from my house that has alligator shows. You go there. These are like 10, 12-foot alligators, but they also have baby ones that you can hold and, like you're saying. But I don't think you can buy them. Yeah. But that happened in Chicago. I did a story a while ago where they thought, somebody in Chicago basically, like you said, bought a pet or had an alligator as a pet, and somehow whenever it got too big, they let it into this pond or lagoon. They call it a lagoon in the article in Chicago, and nobody could catch it.
I remember that, the Chicago gator. I do remember seeing like articles, and people would see it and they'd take pictures. It's like hashtag the Chicago gator. He's a local legend. I think they ended up getting him.
Yeah, but they tried for a while and they could not get him until they brought somebody from Florida. They brought an alligator wrangler from Florida up, and they were able to get him. Yeah. So that was one of the stories we did. That was kind of interesting.
It's pretty unreal. I do remember that a lot. And then weird shit happens in Chicago all the time. But I do know of I don't know if he has them anymore, but I do know of one local tattoo artist that had some gators. I don't know where he kept them, and I never wanted to see them. It was all, kind of hearsay type stuff, but I 100% believed he had it. And I'm like, dude, what are you? You're stupid.
Right. I mean, you can, get a tattoo and then you charge $5 to go in the back and like see the alligators.
Yeah, go in my my damp moldy basement and see these alligators.
Right.
Yeah, I mean this particular guy is just like all about reptiles and stuff, which is fine, but I just no thank you.
Yeah, that's a different story. Like it's one thing, like it's so normal to see them out here. We see them all the time, but like you see them in your house. I mean, that's a whole different story. I mean, or to keep them in your house, but they're in pools, swimming pools all the time. And I mean, that's a constant thing.
Oh man, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if everyone talks about retiring to Florida. I don't know if that I could do it because of that, and you have snakes too. So
yeah, and because everybody else retires to Florida.
That's true. It's like Florida or Arizona, and Arizona, Phoenix is one of the most like highest percentage of human trafficking happens there, and
true.
And they have like wild boars that will really mess you up. And there's like anywhere you go, anywhere place that's warm all the time, you're destined for disaster.
Oh yeah, someone's trying to kill you if you're in like a warm climate. It seems like.
Yeah, and in Wisconsin, it's at least where I'm at, it's very humid summers and it's like thick air. And then recently the temperatures have been horrible. They've been incredibly cold. And there's no deadly animals in sight. So it's kind of nice. Maybe the local drunk might try to kill you, but
true.
That's it. Have you ever ventured to these parts of the states?
No, I've never been to Wisconsin. Okay. I guess I've been up to Illinois. Okay. So that would probably be the closest I've been. I've been to Indiana a bunch. I had family in Indiana, but that's probably the closest I've been to where you're at.
Are you a big Tampa Bay fan? Congratulations if you are.
I mean, yeah, I want to say that I am, but I also no, I'm not. I don't watch football like a ton.
Okay.
I used to be a bigger fan, and I just kind of fell off. I just got busy and like I just didn't keep up with all the sports stuff. But it's wild. That whole story is just wild. Like everybody kind of made fun of Tom Brady, the Bucks, like buying or giving him a contract last year, and like, man, he's so old. You're doing it for publicity, and I'm like, hey, my whole thing when that happened was like, if they're doing it for publicity, that's great because they're going to sell some tickets.
Oh, yeah.
And they needed it. But for them to come back and win the Super Bowl, it was like just wild. And then we also won World Series. We won the Stanley Cup. I mean, yeah, it was Tampa Bay, like really killed it.
Doing it. Yeah, it's a very foreign feeling for Wisconsin because we don't know what it's like to win. Or we know what it's like to be on the cusp of glory, and then to have it just taken away from us, like it's like like we're on a table and the cloth just goes, and we're doomed. It's
right. Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Tom, I established this previously. Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, and it is what it is.
I mean, he knows how to win.
He sure does.
I mean, it's just wild to take that team like within a year, and I know that they brought in some other guys obviously, but still, like,
yeah, I
feel like people like don't understand how much had to come together to actually make that happen, like,
right,
for that this year. So
yeah, it's unreal.
People are pretty excited.
I mean, you have to be, and especially in COVID times where nothing's going right, so something's gotta go. Give the people of Florida a little glimmer of hope, I guess.
That's true.
But yeah, so let's talk about your podcast a little bit more. How can people listen to it, and where can they subscribe and all that good stuff? So yeah, just talk about your podcast. Where can people listen to it? How can they get in touch with you, or where can they follow all your stuff?
Right. So yeah, we have a website, fmofm.com, or Florida Men on floridaman.com. You can find all our stuff there. Everything, we have under Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all those kind of things under Florida Men on Florida Man. And catch us on Instagram and Twitter and things like that. We'd love to, chat with you. We have people send us Florida Man stories like all the time, which we love. Like we want people to send us in all these crazy stories that, they're seeing, or some of the stories that Wayne has done in his segment have come, like the history and like legends and all that portion of the podcast. They've been family members of our listeners. Like they've been about these people that have done incredible things, which is really cool to be able to, highlight them.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's awesome. And it's always good to have people, bring attention to the Florida stories and all the unusual things that happen. And I'm going to be looking for people from Florida coming to invade Wisconsin. I'm going to find those stories and send them your way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we, bring them our way.
One last final note. I have a question for you. Do I have an accent? Can you tell that I'm from Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
I think a solid accent though.
Maybe. I don't know if it is. I'm
not sure that we have Florida accents. I think we're just all, we're just all different down here. We have country and stuff like that down here. So
yeah, I used to work with someone who is from Florida, and I don't remember where exactly. But she had like a weird accent, and I would have never guessed she was from Florida. Especially like even like talking to you, like you sound pretty normal to me. She didn't sound that normal. Like, and it was interesting.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, that's not to say that you don't sound normal.
Yeah. I mean, I hope I do. Some people, if you talk to someone that's like between like 60, 70 years old, and they're from a little more north in Wisconsin, you're getting some weird verbiage and some weird cadences. That's
right.
Sure.
True. Yeah. I mean, that down here would be like, if you go farther south into Everglades stuff, like again, going down the Everglades, yeah, you get some weird stuff, kind of slang and things like that nobody else understands except for them.
Yeah. So Florida Men on Florida Man, the podcast. Hit them up on Instagram, Twitter, all that. Subscribe, listen to their show. It's a lot of fun to listen to, and I really enjoy it, and I think everyone else will too. To wrap things up here, I didn't finish it, but I'm still drinking Home from Good City Brewing. This your standard lager. It's pretty good, and that's about it. How was your beer?
Yeah, it was actually really good. This is the first time I've had it. So yeah, Upriver by Central 28 Beer Company. Good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll have to see if I can find some of that. Yeah, and I'll see if I can get my hands on some Florida stuff for in the future. But Cameron, thanks so much for hopping on and talking. And I look forward to the continued success of your podcast. And I hope Florida stays weird.
Absolutely.
Pew pew audio. Goodbye, everyone.